get started at this time. There might be a new face or two in the room. I believe there happens to be, and I would ask that you keep your questions in a general nature pertaining to the community college system. If there's anything personal that needs to be asked, please avoid that. And if Dr. Smith wishes to tell you anything of a personal nature, that would be of her doing. And I'll go ahead at this time and read to you concerning Dr. Smith's educational background and where she has worked. Dr. Teresa E. Smith. I might better put on my glasses. It is an E. I was afraid it might be an F. Dr. Teresa E. Smith has served as Vice President for Administration, CFO at Tallahassee Community College since 2008, including serving as Interim Vice President for Information Technology since 2009. Prior to her current position, she served as Senior Vice President at Piedmont Technical College in Greenwood, South Carolina from 2005 to 2008. She also served PTC as Vice President of Administration from 1999 to 2006. Dr. Smith served as Vice President for Business Affairs at PTC from 1996 to 1999. Dr. Smith received a bachelor's degree in business from Lander University in Greenwood, South Carolina in 1980. She received a master's in business administration from Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina in 1988, and a PhD in educational leadership from Clemson University in 1998. Dr. Smith, at this time, if you would like, you're certainly welcome to make a statement before we go into questions.
Thank you, sir.
Be glad to hear from you at this time.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm honored to be here on your campus with you this afternoon. I had a little walk through this morning and I saw no students. I was alarmed. I mentioned that immediately. I bet. I mentioned that to Mike. I said, I'm concerned. Now I know why you need a new president. But we got beyond that and I saw two in the library and I got excited. And he said, oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Smith. Those are from the community. So again, I said, okay, your former Dr. Mike didn't tell me there were no students here in the summertime, but I'm catching on. I understand about the FTE model now in North Carolina, very different than most of the states that I'm familiar with in the southern region, but hey, it works. As stated, I'm honored to be here this afternoon. I hope that you've come armed with a lot of questions. I have a lot of answers. Might not be any of the questions you ask, but I've got answers. Had to have a little levity. I have been sitting for a great number of hours and had a good grilling by the board. So you can trust them. They're doing their work for you. I drove in last night and thought it was just a beautiful community here. I remember it vaguely. I lived in Charlotte a number of years ago, prior to 485. Prior to when it would take you 1 hour to go from the First Union building in Charlotte to Pineville. And that's if you were lucky. You could do it in 1 hour's drive in rush hour. But it is an honor to be here, honored to be a candidate for the esteemed position. And you know enough about, you probably know more about me than I think you do, and that's okay too. I don't tweet and I'm not on Facebook, but I'm sure other people are. Some things I just try to keep to myself. But anyway, I'm here. I'll answer any questions that I can. And I hope this will be an engaging time for us. It's an honor for me to be here. It'd be even more an honor to be your president. So I will let you go. I assume there's a moderator.
We will.
Maybe not. I assume there were students. So, okay, yeah. Y'all really don't know what a stunner that was. I'm just in my walking and looking. I can go to the next building and Mike's just he's cheerful and I'm thinking, there's something wrong. There's really something wrong. And he's going to tell me just any minute what that something is. But I have seen a few since then, by the way.
Okay, we'll go ahead with questions at this time, and if you will, who will be first?
Don't be bashful, I'm not.
Mark, you're normally wide open up there. Get us started.
I always say my good question for the end. Well, since you're not, well, you lived here in North Carolina a while back, what qualifications do you bring with you that would help you to fit in with the way we do things here in North Carolina?
Well, let's see. I've lived in a lot of states, done a lot of things, worked for a lot of people, and at the end of the day, I really find the greatest qualifications you can have for any is to be a leader by example. To come into an institution, to seek out those that have the knowledge, to listen to those people that have been here, to look at what's really working, to review the dreams and the aspirations of what you want this institution to be like. And that's a large part of the first part, just fitting in. I don't think I'll have any issue fitting in a community college. I was at an institution, about 5,500 students at Piedmont for a long time. I've been in the classroom, worked in student services, so I've worked in all aspects of higher ed. I've been so blessed with that. I think one of the things that will be most welcome for me is to come back to an institution that is a little smaller in size. We're 15,000 strong credit students, 60,000 in my law enforcement academy and my continuing education. So it's going to be good, be very good to get back to more of a community feel. And I definitely have felt that so far this morning, and in doing my research on this institution, feel like that all of my accomplishments over the years will serve me very well here. Can I ask a question of you all? When you do ask me the question, would you mind telling me whether you're faculty, your department, or your staff, just so I get a good feel? It won't change my answer. I'd just like to know.
Since you were talking a little bit about size, I'm from student development, on the admissions and the counseling side. So if you would speak to a little bit of the piece you see, maybe comparing where you are now, such a large institution, to the 3,000 or so we have here, and what do you see some of the differences might be in the way that you would lead a program with such change in size?
That's a good question. I think regardless of the size, and I've learned this at Tallahassee, I still see students. Now, unfortunately, most of the time, I'm seeing students because they have failed to do something that they were supposed to do along the way, because I have the responsibility of financial aid, of course, in the business office and cashiering. So usually I'm seeing students that are in stressed situations, to say the least. But that didn't change. That was a good thing. When I went to TCC, I thought I'd probably never get to see another student again. I was wrong. I was very wrong about that. At the end of the day, I don't care if you've got 15,000, if you've got 1,000. We're going to be engaged in what those students do. They're going to end up on my doorstep, and that's a good thing, because that is what kind of brings it home. That has been one of the things, though, that I will admit from getting involved with students on a day-to-day basis. I have missed that at TCC, because it is not day-to-day like it was when I was at Piedmont. There was never a day at Piedmont that I didn't see a student. And a lot of that was good. You know, I would go to the honors assemblies, or, you know, I would be asked to speak at one of the clubs of students, and so that was a good thing. There is not as much interaction at the larger institutions, I admit that. But I've got a new interaction. TCC, for those of you that I'm sure have gone out there to try to figure out any and everything there is to know about me on the website, which is not much, by the way. I control the website too. So since I took over IT about a year and a half ago, I kind of got that under control now. But the student that I see now more than I used to is we have one of the largest law enforcement academies in the state of Florida. It's on a completely different campus. We have dormitories, cafeteria, and I've actually learned to engage with a different type of student, because most of these students, some of them are already college graduates. They're coming to go to the DNR, Fish and Wildlife, Highway Patrol, sheriffs, city and county sheriff's departments. So I have a different type of student, which is huge. I am in Tallahassee, which is government, let's face it. That's where all the government agencies are. So we have a mass presence of law enforcement officers. And that can be good for me, unless I'm driving. That can be a negative sometimes, depending on which state I'm in, and driving. But anyway, I still deal with that type of student. I've got a golden opportunity there to deal with a completely different type of student, which has been wonderful for me, because I deal a lot more with an adult population there. So, you know, students are students. I don't care if they're 17 or 77. And you do have to make yourself known. Every so often you have to step outside that office and let them know that you're still there and that you do still care. So I'm really looking forward to being at an institution this size, because except for today, when there were no students, I will be able to see students. I understand just going from building to building, which will be a good thing for me. Thank you for your question. And thank you.